The sky over Europe in 1942 was a strange theater of contradictions. On one hand, the Luftwaffe ruled with iron precision. On the other, a strange new specter appeared: the B-17 Flying Fortress. A grainy photo, torn at the edges, shows a formation of these bulky silver giants, their wings bristling with gun turrets, slicing the clouds like armored sharks. Yet, hidden in the margins of that image is a faded code, a broken radio intercept, garbled voices speaking of impenetrable bombers. How could the Luftwaffe, masters of the air, be so unprepared for these machines? Was it a failure of intelligence or something more deliberate? A secret underestimated or concealed within the ranks? The origins of the B-17 trace back to a desperate gamble by the U.S. Army Air Corps in the late 1930s. Designed to deliver heavy payloads deep into enemy territory without fighter escort, the Flying Fortress was a product of conflicting visions. Some officers demanded speed and stealth. Others insisted on firepower and durability. A blueprint discovered in a Washington archive reveals a tension-filled margin note: must survive against 20mm and 30mm cannons. The bomber's creation was as much a clash of doctrine as of technology. But why did German intelligence underestimate its potential for years? Was the fragmented information flow within the Reich's military apparatus to blame? Or was there a blind spot in their strategic calculus? The B-17 was a marvel of engineering: 13.50 caliber machine guns, a range exceeding 2,000 miles, and an armored cockpit designed to withstand flak and fighter attacks. Yet its weaknesses were equally glaring: cumbersome speed, limited defensive arcs in certain blind spots, and vulnerability during formation breaks. An engineer's sketch found in a USAAF technical dossier details the arrangement of gun emplacements, highlighting a blind spot near the tail. This flaw would later become a deadly focal point in dogfights. How did the 8 Luftwaffe pilots exploit these gaps so quickly? Or did the Flying Fortress's very design provoke a shift in aerial combat tactics that caught German commanders off guard? The first encounter came abruptly on August 17, 1942. A squadron of B-17s from the 97th Bomb Group raided the Focke-Wulf factories near Bremen. German radar operators tracked the formation, but radio chatter reveals panic and confusion. "They're not like any bombers we've faced." The Luftwaffe scrambled Me-109s and FW-190s, expecting easy prey. Instead, they met a storm of machine gun fire and tight defensive formations. A surviving pilot's memoir recounts the shock. "Their gunners fired from every angle, and our fighters were shredded." Why did the Luftwaffe's initial doctrine fail so spectacularly? Was it hubris or a fundamental misreading of the new American threat? In response, the Germans rapidly adapted. New tactics emerged: massed fighter attacks coordinated with flak batteries, focused strikes on the U-2 bombers' vulnerable tail sections, and the development of heavier caliber cannons to pierce the B-17's armor. A classified Luftwaffe manual from late 1942 details these countermeasures, accompanied by diagrams showing overlapping fields of fire designed to trap the bombers. Yet radio intercepts reveal confusion among fighter units. The fortress is still too tough. How effective were these adaptations? And why did the B-17 continue to dominate despite intense pressure? What secrets did the American crews hold that kept them one step ahead? By mid-1943, the battle for the skies over Germany had reached a deadly climax. The Luftwaffe faced dwindling resources, pilot shortages, and an increasingly aggressive USAAF bombing campaign. A map from a Reich Air Ministry briefing shows the intensity of air battles over the Ruhr, marked with fiery red symbols where B-17 formations were met by fierce resistance. Protocols evolved to include tighter bomber formations and long-range fighter escorts, changing the very nature of air warfare. Yet inside secret reports, a chilling note appears: the fortress will not fall without a cost. How close was the Luftwaffe to breaking the American air offensive? What hidden factors prolonged this deadly stalemate in the skies? Each episode is a document I pull from the dust of the archives. Share your own stories. Many of you have relatives who lived through that time, and your words help connect personal memory with archival evidence. Stay curious. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode tomorrow. As the skies burned above the Ruhr Valley, another hidden dimension of the conflict revealed itself, an intelligence war waged through intercepted communications and cracked codes. Among the captured German decrypts was a fragment of a message, abruptly cut off, hinting at a new American tactic involving concentrated fire zones. The sound of a Morse code operator's frantic tapping echoes faintly in the background of archival recordings, underscoring the desperation to understand this unyielding foe. How did such critical intelligence slip through the cracks of German command? And what did the fragmented messages conceal about the evolving American strategy? Was there a deeper technological edge that the Luftwaffe failed to grasp? Or were they blinded by their own assumptions? Behind the scenes, engineers and tacticians on both sides engaged in a relentless race to redefine aerial warfare. A faded blueprint from a German design bureau shows early concepts for a new long-range interceptor intended specifically to counter the B-17's formidable defenses. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, American technicians meticulously refined gun turret designs and reinforced armor plating, their notes marked with observations from frontline crews. The smell of burning oil and overheated metal permeates the descriptions of maintenance logs, a testament to the grueling conditions these machines endured. But how much did these incremental improvements tip the scales? Was the escalating arms race doomed to become a spiral of destruction without clear advantage? Or was there a hidden breakthrough that would turn the tide? The human cost of this aerial duel soon became starkly evident. Survivor testimonies described the harrowing moments when formations broke apart under heavy flak, the roar of exploding shells mingling with the screams of damaged engines. A grainy photograph, taken from a German fighter cockpit, captures a B-17 trailing smoke, its crew visible through shattered windows. A frozen instant of vulnerability amidst the chaos. Yet, even damaged, these bombers often pressed on, their relentless advance shattering industrial targets below. How did crews maintain such resilience in the face of near-certain death? Was it sheer training, iron will, or some deeper bond forged in the crucible of fire and smoke? Behind the front line, Luftwaffe command faced impossible choices. Memos from high-ranking officers reveal a growing awareness of the strategic threat posed by the flying fortresses, yet also a grim acknowledgement of resource scarcity and pilot attrition. Maps marked with dwindling airfields and lost squadrons tell a story of a crumbling defensive network. An intercepted report mentions a last-ditch effort to deploy experimental weapons, their nature shrouded in secrecy. What were these desperate measures, and how close did they bring the German Air Force to a breakthrough, or to collapse? Did the leadership grasp the full implications of the B-17's persistent shadow over their skies, or were they trapped by their own fading illusions? Amidst the mounting losses, a chilling photograph surfaced from a downed German reconnaissance plane, an image of a B-17 formation silhouetted against a blazing sunset, their engines glowing orange through the haze of anti-aircraft fire. The caption, scrawled hastily on the back, reads, "Unyielding, unstoppable," yet behind that stoic label lies a secret. Intercepted radio chatter reveals moments of panic among German pilots, their voices breaking as they call for reinforcements that never arrive. The air was thick with the acrid stench of burning fuel and scorched metal, a sensory backdrop to the chaos unfolding above. How did such overwhelming firepower manage to fracture the Luftwaffe's formidable front lines? Was the psychological toll as devastating as the physical destruction? And did it unravel the very cohesion of German air defense? At the same time, American crews evolved their own brutal code of survival. An unpublished diary from a squadron navigator details the relentless drills, the constant vigilance required to maintain formation integrity, and the grim calculations made before each mission. How many fighters could swarm a formation before it broke? The faint creak of stressed airframes and the rattle of machine guns underlined every sortie. Yet despite the odds, the flying fortresses pressed deeper into the Reich's industrial heartland. How did these crews balance fear and duty? And what unseen bonds held them together under a hailstorm of bullets and flak? Was their courage simply a product of training, or did something more intangible, hope, faith, or sheer stubbornness fuel their resolve. Behind the scenes, the German high command grappled with a stark reality. Their skies, once uncontested, had become a furnace of fire and metal. A classified communique from early 1944 hints at a fragmented strategy, a patchwork of regional defenses unable to stem the tide. Maps marked with arrows and target zones reveal the increasing density of American bombing raids, each one pushing deeper into the Reich's industrial lifelines. Yet among these directives lies a cryptic note: urgent need for new solutions, current tactics insufficient. What innovations did the Luftwaffe contemplate in these final desperate months? Could any measure have stemmed the firestorm unleashed by the flying fortresses? Or was the German air defense doomed by its own inertia and underestimation of the American resolve? By late 1943, the relentless daylight raids had transformed the German sky into a crucible of fire and steel. A worn Luftwaffe briefing slide found in a shattered bunker near Aachen depicts the increasing density of flak batteries arrayed like a deadly belt around key industrial centers. The metallic clatter of anti-aircraft guns mingled with the distant thunder of exploding bombs, creating a deafening symphony of war. Yet despite the increasing firepower, the B-17 formations adapted, tightening their defensive perimeter and coordinating with newly introduced long-range escort fighters. How did these evolving tactics alter the balance of power? Was the sky becoming a battlefield of attrition? Or was there a deeper tactical shift that would redefine air combat forever? Simultaneously, a secret report from a Luftwaffe squadron commander reveals growing frustration. Our fighters are losing altitude and numbers faster than replacements arrive. The fortress remains a fortress. The report includes a hand-drawn map showing concentrated attack vectors aimed at the B-17's vulnerable tail and belly, highlighting the tactical focus on exploiting known weaknesses. But even as German pilots honed their attacks, American crews countered with innovations like the combat box formation, maximizing overlapping fields of fire. A faded photograph from a bomber's tail gunner shows tracer rounds crisscrossing the sky, a deadly dance of firepower and survival. How long could these deadly exchanges continue before one side broke? Was the Luftwaffe's tactical evolution too little, too late? Beneath the surface of this aerial struggle lay a shadow war of logistics and production. Allied intelligence reports describe the staggering output of American factories. Hundreds of B-17s rolling off assembly lines each month, their engines tested and tuned with ruthless efficiency. Meanwhile, German industrial capacity strained under relentless bombing and material shortages. A factory blueprint, found amid rubble, contrasts sharply with an American production ledger, underscoring a widening gulf in resources. Could the Luftwaffe's shrinking arsenal and pilot fatigue withstand the mounting pressure? Or was the very concept of the flying fortress a symbol not only of technological superiority, but of an industrial war the Germans were losing before the first shot was fired? In the early months of 1944, a chilling pattern emerged from the tangled web of aerial combat reports. A Luftwaffe intelligence summary, dated March, lists increasing losses among veteran fighter pilots, paired with a mounting number of heavily damaged B-17As still completing their missions. The report's margins are scrawled with terse notes: pilot morale declining, attrition unsustainable. The faint crackle of static-laden radio transmissions fills the background of surviving recordings, capturing the tension as German pilots scrambled to intercept yet another impenetrable formation. A haunting image, recovered from a downed reconnaissance plane, shows a B-17 with its tail nearly severed, yet still flying, its crew visible through shattered windows, a testament to the bomber's brutal resilience. How did the Luftwaffe hope to reverse a tide that seemed to erode not only their numbers but their very spirit? Was there a point when technology and human endurance reached a breaking point? On the American side, mission debriefs reveal a steady stream of tactical refinements. Pilots and gunners shared grim anecdotes of narrow escapes and devastating losses, yet their resolve hardened. A weathered notebook, found in the ruins of an airbase in England, lists improvements in formation flying, gunnery synchronization, and damage control procedures. The smell of oil and gunpowder lingers in the descriptions, evoking the relentless grind of preparation and repair. Yet, Beneath this disciplined exterior, questions lingered in whispered conversations. How far could the flying fortress be pushed before it became a coffin? What hidden vulnerabilities remained, and who would exploit them first? Meanwhile, the German High Command convened emergency sessions to assess the deteriorating air situation. A top-secret protocol document outlines plans to deploy jet-powered interceptors and surface-to-air missile experiments. Technologies still in their infancy, but representing a desperate gamble. Maps marked with projected flight paths and target zones illustrate a shrinking defensive perimeter, encroached upon by the relentless advance of Allied air power. Yet even these innovations felt like shadows against the overwhelming presence of the flying fortress. Was the Luftwaffe's final gamble a sign of hope or surrender cloaked in secrecy? Could these nascent technologies alter the fate of the skies? Or were they simply echoes of a desperate past fading under the roar of American bombers? By mid-1944, the balance of power in the skies had irrevocably shifted. A detailed Allied mission map, annotated with bomb damage assessments, reveals the extent of devastation inflicted by successive B-17 raids on German industrial complexes. The once robust Luftwaffe fighter wings were now shadows of their former selves, their pilots exhausted, and their machines outmatched. In the wreckage of a shattered airfield, photographs document the rusting husks of Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs, trophies of a war won in the air. Yet, beneath these images lies a deeper truth. The flying fortress was not merely a machine of war, but a symbol of relentless pressure, technological innovation, and human endurance converging to rewrite aerial combat. A final intercepted communication, fragmented and fading, captures a Luftwaffe officer's resigned words. The fortress, it broke the sky's will. The roar of engines, the staccato bursts of machine guns, and the distant thunder of explosions had become the soundtrack of a new era in warfare. The German skies, once a fortress of the Reich, had become a battlefield baptized in fire, where iron birds carved the path to victory and destruction alike. How did the emergence of the B-17 not only redefine air power, but seal the fate of a regime clinging to the skies? What lessons linger in the smoke and silence left behind?